Using a syllabary, you have to use at least 500 symbols in order to create a literary form of writing. They used more, of course, and they also used symbols which we call ideograms, which make it easier to read. And an ideogram is simply a symbol which says, when you read that, you don't say "mer," you say "Mr." That's an ideogram. Another ideogram, a very famous one is, okay, you look at that, and you don't say you say dollars, and so on. There are ideograms which we use in Sumerian and Babylonian and Egyptian, many ideograms. The ideograms are very useful because they tell you in advance the next list of symbols that you're going to see will represent the name of a man. Or the next list of symbols that you see will represent the name of a woman, and these are the symbols they use. Or the next list of symbols you see will represent a domestic animal, a wild animal, or a nobleman, or a king. In other words, every symbol has significance, or the name of a god. So the ideograms, they give you an idea. The ideogram is presented to give you an idea of what's coming, and this helps to read. So this is the system that they created and developed. By the way, as they specialized, the writing systems began to differ. For example, for legal documents, you used a certain vocabulary and system. For mathematics, you used another one. For magical horoscopes, you used another one, and so on. For astronomy, you used another one. There were various specialized systems of writing, but all essentially, basically, the same cuneiform system with variations. There are many, many thousands of mathematical tablets. Not only must the person who reads them be able to read cuneiform, but he has to be a good mathematician, because the mathematics of the Sumerians and Babylonians was highly advanced. Highly advanced. It was up to what we call quadratic equations, up to the edge of advanced algebra. And they were very scientific in their approach to what they considered to be significant. And therefore, their knowledge of astronomy was remarkably developed. And they kept lists, they kept meticulous records of every movement of every planet. They kept records. Certain of them have been discovered. The Venus tablets of Amitsaduqa was one bunch of tablets that were discovered of a Babylonian king, where his astronomers had made a list of every point at which the planet Venus appears, namely the point of the horizon at which the planet Venus appears, when she sets, and so on. All of these were recorded on clay tablets, and it gives us an idea of the importance that they put on these scientific observations, and also the extensive records which they kept. And they kept extensive records on all of these things. And later on we'll see the extent to which their civilization really established incredible elements of scientific observation. There were astronomical observatories and so on. So the Akkadians came in. The Akkadians speak a different language, and they begin to record in their language using the Sumerian writing system. And then the Akkadian records give us a very interesting historical picture. There is a record called the record of Sargon of Akkad. Sargon of Akkad was around 2700 BC, while Sumerian civilization was still dominant, but already this Akkadian came in. Actually, he was an Akkadian who rose to great power. And he had an autobiographical account written of his career. It's a very interesting one. Sargon claims that he was abandoned by his mother. He says, I never knew my father. My mother took me and put me in a little boat and set me afloat on the Euphrates River. And I was floating downstream, and Aki the irrigator saw me and took me. And Aki the irrigator raised me, and he is really my father, or he raised me. And then he says that he became very important, and he became a soldier. And then at a certain point, he overthrew the oppressive king who had ruled, and I became ruler in his place. And then he describes the empire that he founded. So we see by 2700 BC there is an Akkadian empire already established. Sargon is the one who built this empire, and we get an insight into what's going on, the movement of populations and also the conflicts and the establishment of power. By the way, this is a very interesting name. Sargon is the name of this ruler. It's the name of two other Assyrians. In each case, the king who calls himself Sargon takes the name Sargon, which in Babylonian is Sharukain, and means legitimate king or true king. And each one of them actually assassinated his predecessor and seized the throne. So what do you do when you kill your predecessor and seize the throne? You call yourself, I'm the real king. I mean, the name Sharukain means that. A legitimate king, true ruler. So we don't know their real names, but this is the titles they chose for themselves. In each case, the same thing happened. Yes?
Can you show us on the map where is this?
Yeah, now we're still talking about this whole area, which is southern Iraq, the Tigris-Euphrates River. This is all. Sumer and Akkad are the same country. It's Sumer at the beginning. It's conquered by the Akkadian king Sargon. He establishes his kingdom. It's called Akkad, and thereafter, for centuries, all the rulers of this region always called themselves rulers of Sumer and Akkad. The Akkadians evidently came in from the eastern seaboard of the Mediterranean. I believe it was a slow migration over the course of time until they became a significant power. And then they rose to power, conquered, and became the rulers. And by the way, Akkad is one of the oldest cities in that region, and it's mentioned in the Bible as one of the oldest cities in the region of Babylonia. And as I said, because of the antiquity of Sumer and the fact that it was the beginning of civilization, thereafter the rulers of these regions always called themselves kings of Sumer and Akkad, even though they were no longer Akkadians. Or Babylonians and sometimes Assyrians, they called themselves king of Sumer and Akkad. But they were the same place, but they came in. Now, how do we know that they came in? Because from the language, the Babylonian language, and the names that they had, we realize that they originated in that region, which is the eastern seaboard of the Mediterranean. And later on, they came in large numbers, and empires were established by them. They were all migrants. I suppose you could call them migrants, but migrants over the course of centuries from the eastern seaboard of the Mediterranean.